What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. We've got a crazy video for you guys today. 5 very bizarre stories that happen to drivers around the world. I even have some of my own. Maybe I'll do a separate video just sharing my 5 craziest stories. Anyways, before we jump into this video, we wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Solo. Solo is the best app for rideshare drivers. Hands down, there's nothing that competes with it. The best feature is that it gets you guaranteed earnings. Based on your market and the hours you drive, you are essentially going to get a guarantee similar to what Uber offers, sometimes on a weekly basis. If you don't meet that guarantee, they will cover the difference. Having that security every day is so worth it. Definitely check it out, guys. You'll get $15 just for signing up. Alrighty. So this one comes from Jenny in New Jersey. I think I may have assisted a drug deal. I picked up 2 gentlemen at a bank in Newark who said they needed to make a quick stop at his sister's house. Then one said to the other to leave the money on the table, and eventually he came out of the house with a book bag full of stuff. I had a ride where I had a few rides where I'm pretty sure I probably assisted in a drug deal, and you know, for the drug dealers, it kind of makes sense. You know, it's not like as drivers we're instructed to ask, hey, what's in that bag? 10 pounds of marijuana? You know, like there's, I mean, it seems like it'd be pretty foolproof if you pack a suitcase and just act like you're traveling. Oh yeah, I'm just going to stay at my sister's for a week and I'm taking this 24-hour Uber ride to get there. You're like transporting drugs across the states. But anyways, here's our next one. One guy was on the phone with his parole officer trying to convince him he didn't know why his urine came back dirty. A driver in Atlanta said that was pretty hard not to laugh at. Yeah, that's a little odd. I'd be like, you good, bro? All right, I drive to beach communities a lot, so a lot of the crazy is relative, said a driver in LA. I'm pretty good at fitting surfboards and the likes into my small car. It's pretty unusual around here. That one's really not that weird. During the polar vortex this year in Illinois, I hauled diesel fuel for a semi-driver who had run out of gas and helped 3 other folks who also ended up stranded, said a driver in Chicago. I'm pleased to say most of these folks tipped, but it's just part of being a kind person. One time I got a call and the person quickly called me right after I accepted it and said her father was having a heart attack and that she needed to get home to her sister so they could both rush to the hospital, a driver in Connecticut said. That was crazy, but not that much fun. Yeah, that is crazy. I wonder if anybody's ever had someone who went into labor while in their car. Once I picked up a guy and his golf clubs, and once he got in, he slid me a sheet of paper and asked me to fax it for him, said a driver in Hawaii. I informed him that I didn't own a fax machine, and he replied that it didn't have to be done right away. He was sure that I could find a fax somewhere around town, and he would give me $1 for my troubles. I'm easygoing and wanted to help him, so I told him to get an email address for the person he wanted it to go to, and I would scan it and email to him. While he was still in the car, he called the person for an email and wrote it on the piece of paper and handed it back to me. When I finished driving for the day, I finally looked at the paper, and it was a tax document from the IRS saying the man owed $17,000 in back taxes and penalties. I did scan and send it for him, but have no idea why he would trust a stranger with this. I had one passenger who claimed to be a vampire, but worked as an overnight bakery employee at a grocery store as his cover, said a driver in Kentucky. Imagine a 50-year-old Eddie Munster wearing a leather jacket and sunglasses at I Am. That's pretty insane. Another time I was stopped at a light in downtown LA with my turn signal on, waiting for it to turn green, when a guy riding a bike started doing circles in the intersection. After a few minutes and the light turning green, he eventually ran into my car and looked surprised that I was even there. I hear couples get into fights on a weekly basis, said a driver in Colorado. A few times it's been so bad, nearing what I thought may result in physical assault, that I should consider pulling over for. Most of the time it seems to stem from a jealous boyfriend or girlfriend that thought the other was flirting too much or embarrassing them somehow. I was invited to a New Year's Eve party because a couple wanted me to have a toast at midnight instead of being out driving. There are lots of very nice people in the world and the media doesn't talk enough about them. Well, pretty much every one of those was extremely lame, so I'm going to hit you guys with some of my stories because that was so dumb. I mean, some of those were like mildly interesting. The vampire one was probably the best. So, some of my best stories. Okay, when I drove in Nashville, it was during the Country Music Awards, I gave a ride to Taylor Swift's, it wasn't her current agent, but her original agent, and it was pretty cool because he actually, I didn't think he was bluffing because he pulled out his phone, and he had hundreds of old pictures with her, at awards, ceremonies, holding trophies together. And so he ended up telling me all these crazy stories about when she was younger and like launching her career and how he met her and all this stuff. Another great story, I gave a ride to the rapper Lil Yachty's dad, who was a photographer for George Lopez. And what was sweet about it is he actually gave me 2 tickets to the George Lopez show that was that night. I was going to drive all night, but I called one of my buddies. We got and we showed up to this venue. Sure enough, walked right in. We said, hey, so-and-so gave us these tickets. And yeah, we got into this great show. It was hilarious. There was a meal included. It was kind of phenomenal, honestly. So that was just kind of like lucky. One of the funnier ones I remember was I picked up this younger couple, and the dude was, he straight up looked like a Navy SEAL. He had to be like 6'5", probably 230 pounds of solid muscle. I mean, the dude was massive. His arms were just like giant. And it's him and his girl. And it was kind of funny because sure enough, he had just gotten back from like active duty. And so they're talking and they kind of start like lightly arguing. And I hear him say like, I just got back from like gunshots and all this stuff. And you think I want to go to some loud club with like stuff that gives me PTSD? That part's a little sad. But the funny part comes when, still can't believe this. So as they're talking and the arguing, kind of not to a scary level, but it grows a little bit. Essentially, the girl says something about blow. I'm just not sure if YouTube will let me say the word, so I hope you guys know what I'm insinuating. And he's like, I can't remember her name, but he's like Jenny, like, shut up, what are you doing? And she was like, I don't think our Uber driver cares if we're talking about, and then says the word again. And so I just kind of start laughing, but I also feel kind of awkward. Like, I don't know what I should say here. And then she leans up in her like drunken state. She's like, Mr. Uber driver, do you care if we talk about, blank? And I was like, no, your secrets are safe with me. Like, I'm not a narc, I promise. And then she's, see? And I could tell he was just extremely annoyed. Like, the poor dude just got back from active duty and he's got to deal with this garbage. So that was a great one. One of the all-time, this is probably the craziest thing I ever witnessed. The funniest story. There's a few others too. I got to remember them and I'll do a whole video on them. But this was when I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time. And I was doing like a typical Saturday night bar rush pickup. And so... So I pull up to the spot and I'm not seeing anyone, but it's a bigger area. And then I see who I think is the guy that requested the ride. And I notice he's talking with these two, he's walking with these 2 girls that are just like inebriated. And they're taking forever. And, I was in a good mood. I had already made a lot of money, so I wasn't really tripping about it. It was like a light surge, nothing where I was like, oh, I need to rush back. Probably like a $2 surge, And so finally he like leaves them. He walks through the car. He's like, bro, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just trying to get them over here. Like, are we cool? And I was like, yeah, bro, we're cool. Like, don't even sweat it. And, and so the one girl wasn't as drunk, so he kind of like gets her to the car first, and she was like talkative and stuff too. He was like, how's your night going? Da 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 da. And she's like, I'm sorry, my friend's like really drunk. And so the other guy, he's trying to help this other girl. Now, this other girl, and for the sake of the story, I have to say this, she was rather large. And so as they're walking, just this one guy and this last girl, you guys know the big garbage cans in downtown areas where it's almost surrounded by like a metal like covering. It didn't have a lid on it though. It was like an open, or wait, no. I'm sorry. This happened so long ago, I forgot. So if you've ever been in a downtown area, you know there's like trees, and a lot of times they'll have like, yeah, like one of those big circular like metal things covering it so that I guess people don't just like jump in and climb on it. But sometimes they're like pretty wide around. And so as this guy's like walking this girl, she like loses her footing, kind of stumbles away from him. She hits one of these things and buckles over it, and I literally swear to God, she goes head first into this thing. And her body is like stuck, and her legs are like flailing around as she's stuck. In my head, I'm like, holy crap, like this is crazy. And she's like stuck. And again, earlier I mentioned that rather large. So, I mean, she's like wedged in this freaking thing. And so the guy's trying to pull her out and he can't get her out. And so finally, like, rallies a few other like pretty strong looking dudes, and they're like hoisting and pulling, and finally they just like yank her out, and everybody goes flying back, and this chick like rolls over. I mean, poor girl, she's like so embarrassed. So then she's just like scrambling to get to the car. He gets her in the back seat. She's crying, and I feel kind of bad, but I couldn't help it. I was like laughing so hard. Doesn't end there. And I would put my hand on a Bible. This whole thing, it was just insane. So then as we're driving, the guy's talking to me. The chick in the back falls asleep, starts snoring loud. So that was one thing. So as we're talking, probably like 10 minutes into the ride, and of course it's like a 35-minute ride, she passes gas, and very loud. And so I'm laughing super hard. The other dude's laughing super hard. The chick in the front's laughing pretty hard too. And I was just like, oh my God. And the guy in the back, he's like, bro, I'm so sorry. Like, this is just horrible. And I was like, listen, it happens to the best of us. Like, she's already had a traumatic night. Like, don't sweat it. Keeps going on. I mean, she's ripping these and staying asleep, and it smelled. So then we've got like windows down. I always keep like spray in the car, and I'm like literally like spraying body spray just to try and get the scent out. I've got my shirt over my nose. Long story short, it went on pretty much the rest of the ride back. I don't know what ungodly thing that chick ate, but it was tearing up her insides, and we were suffering from it. But anyways, I'm gonna end the video there. There's my crazy stories as well as a few lame ones from the internet. A little disappointed in those, not gonna lie. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out Solo, linked in the description below. Guys, it's a really good app. That's all I'll say on it. It's just a really good app, and it's gonna make you more money. Anyways, hope you guys crush it out there this week. I might do a video in the future where I go over even more crazy stories. I've been driving almost 6 years, so some of these my brain's a little foggy on. I gotta just write them all down, and maybe I'll put that together. But anyways, like I said, do good out there this week, and I will talk to you guys soon.